So today we're going to talk about the belief that many people hold that saving is somehow good for the economy. The truth is that saving is very, very bad for the economy, and really anybody on this planet should be able to recognize that it's bad for the economy. When we talk about the economy, what we're talking about is a measure of spending. Basically, the more money that we throw into the spending bucket, the bigger the economy is. Saving is the exact opposite of spending. Saving means you're setting money aside, not spending it, but to use it at a future time. Well, if you think that not spending is good for the economy when the economy is a measure of spending, you are the dumbest person on the face of the earth. The truth is that saving is very, very bad for the economy. In fact, if we saved 100% of our income, if we threw everything into savings, we'd have zero economy because we'd have zero income. So some people will look at this and say, well, if saving's so bad for the economy, why don't we outlaw it or make it extremely difficult to do and just throw all of our savings into spending? Well, that's not good for the economy, because in order for the economy to grow, we have to be able to invest in what are known as productive assets. Things like tools, machinery, equipment, education, those types of things that help us to increase our productivity. And by increasing our productivity, we increase the amount of wealth we can produce. Thus, we all become better off. So we need savings in order to be able to make those investments. Now, many people see that and mistakenly assume, well, if we need to have savings to invest in productive assets, then we should just save as much as we possibly can. We should just save and save and save. That way we'll make tons of investments in productive assets and the economy will grow like crazy. Well, that's not true either, because the more that we save, the less that we spend. The less that we spend is another way of saying that we're reducing the amount of demand in the economy. By reducing the amount of demand in the economy, we're actually reducing the incentive to invest in productive assets. What happens when we save too much, we don't invest very much into productive assets. We instead invest too much into non-productive assets. Things like stocks, bonds, gold, fine art, wine, that type of stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with increasing productivity. People simply invest in them because they want to hold the asset itself for its value that we place on it. So what happens in our economy, we constantly save too much because there's so little demand left in the economy from saving too much. We underinvest in productive assets, so our economy grows very slowly. Because we invest too much into non-productive assets, the value of those assets grows very quickly. The difference between those two eventually becomes so great that people look around at the economy and say, gee, the price on these non-productive assets don't make any sense at all. These are way too high. We need to start selling. And so everybody panics and sells at once, and the stock market comes crashing back down. And we see this behavior happening over and over again because we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again. We constantly save too much. Because we save too much, there's too little incentive to invest in productive assets. So a disproportionate amount of our savings goes into non-productive assets, and we wind up with bubbles in these non-productive assets. And over time, eventually, the bubbles burst and the value of non-productive assets comes crashing back down. We saw this happen in the late 80s. We saw it happen again in 2000. We saw it happen again in the financial crisis a few years back. And now it's just a matter of time before the next crash comes, as our non-productive assets have gotten extremely overpriced again. So if you care about this country at all, you'll share this video with your friends and family so we can help cure people basically of this idiotic belief that saving is good for the economy, and instead teach people that saving is very, very bad for the economy, but we need to do some saving so that we can invest into productive assets and not invest in non-productive assets. That is the only way in which we are going to get our economy growing.